Hello, I have got the wonderful Julie with me here today, and we are going to talk about target markets and why it's important to get this right. So,
Yeah.
why don't you tell
Mm.
us about why this is an important area of expertise for you?
Like I'm all about truth in presenting yourself the way who you are and being truthful to your core self, because I think that people can smell a mile away anyway, and
Mhm.
I think if you present yourself truthfully, um, it's more connecting, firstly, and I think if you actually try and really dig into the core of who you are, that's really like where your magnetism come from. That's
Mm,
like when people really see like your whole personality. And this is why, one of the things I love about, branding well is it's like we get attracted to, it's like a friendship. Like we get attracted to the people who resonate with us. We build up really deep friendships with the people who see eye to eye with us. And it's the same thing with your brand. And if you can project something that resonates deeply with somebody else, they're there. They love you for it. They'll throw money. They'll throw money at you, really,
yeah.
because they believe in what you do. They really feel like you understand them. And that's what the thing is about friendship. If we're friends, that means I understand you on a particular level, and then that just kind of builds on that connection. Hmm.
Yeah, it makes the whole,
Yeah. So if you
especially with business to business relationships, it makes it so much nicer.
mm, yeah, because most of us I'm presuming this is who the podcast is targeted to these people who are basically in business for themselves, people who are doing the whole dancing to your own drum kind of thing. Like
Mm,
this is, we're not part of a larger business. We don't have 30, 40, 50 employees. It's just basically us, or us and a VA or an assistant, or there might be a partnership, but it's really small, very personal business. And therefore that personal branding particularly is so important, because we're humans and humans relate to humans.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So, what does defining your target audience mean?
All right, so there's a couple of ways you can go about figuring out who your target market is. You're defining someone really who that you can help best, because as a business you're here to be of service. So if you can figure out who you can help best, that should be the people that you target. And then you often, I often, so very often I hear people say, oh, look, I can help these people and that people, and I can help the people over there, and I
Yeah.
really don't know how to target down. And I say, really, there's more than one way to, it's not just the demographics. There's only a very narrow way of defining a target market. Yeah, sure, it might be women in the 35 to 45 age bracket, but that's only one way of defining them. There are so many other things that tie humans together.
Hmm.
It's our worldview, like, where do you stand on the environment? Like, where do you stand on your level of spirituality, and what kind of spirituality does that look like? There's
Hmm.
so many things that tie us together. And it could be, you might start with people who have the little T trauma. Like there's I work with so many people who are coaches who don't actually, like me. I grew up in a very loving, kind family. In the suburbs, nothing happened to me. Nothing bad happened to me. But by the same token, there are still things that I carry from my childhood. Just like things like my brother was such a bully, that kind of stuff, that's
Hmm.
little T trauma. Like there's those sorts of things that you might want to focus in on as to how you separate your target audience out. And once you figure out what it is those things are that tie your audience together, then you're
Mm.
a much better place to talk to them, because we all talk to different people in different ways. And so if I understand that you have that you grew up with this situation, then I know that this is what you'll be experiencing. So I'll talk to you in that way. I mean, we talk to little kids differently than we'll talk to grandparents. We'll talk to the butcher differently than we'll talk to the hairdresser.
Precisely.
That's true. This is human. We do
Mm.
this anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, figuring out who
That's
you're
it.
talking to is the first step. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. And
Yeah.
I do feel like there's some people out there who maybe haven't considered this and are just saying whatever they feel like saying. Which was going to bring me to my next question, was like, which would be what are the, I guess, negatives or consequences of not getting your target audience right?
Well, it's like if you don't get your target audience right, it's like going and standing on the street corner and yelling out, "Hey, I'm a website designer. Who wants the website?" And
Mm.
like, who's going to stop and listen to that? If you're not talking to the right people, you might as well not be saying anything. Like, it's just a complete waste of effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's basically it. And you put all this effort and maybe some money into advertising to the wrong people. That's
Yeah.
just it's not logical at all. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you got to get your target market right. Yeah, there is, yeah. And another point about target markets is that, if you're thinking about because there is lots of criteria as to how you'll figure out someone is a good fit for you. Are they in the right location? Are they the right um gender? Are they like this is it depends on who's asking the question. So
Yeah.
I'm looking for someone to help me with a particular thing. Um, are they the right price point? Are they like, and there's like maybe say there's 10 points of correspondence. And if 8 of those points of correspondence fit, I'll still go to you and get
Mm-hmm.
you to work with you. If there are 10 points of correspondence, obviously you are the perfect fit. But if there are 5 points of correspondence or less, I'm just going to keep looking because,
Yeah.
like you could help me, but no, you're not the right person for me. So it's a sliding scale. It's not just a clear cut yes or no,
Mm-hmm.
ever. Mm.
Yeah. And consumers are making those decisions all the time, whether conscious or not.
Well, absolutely. And so much of our decision-making process is not about the price. Like everybody goes, oh, it's about the price, but it's not about the price ever, really. Even when we go into the supermarket, we're not always buying things on the price. Yes, of course, some price will influence our decision-making to some level. But, I buy a particular brand of butter because I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy it because it's the cheapest.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, like whatever, there's so many things like, I consciously avoid the cheap crap because I know like it's been made unethically, or like there's lots of decisions about what we buy and
Mm-hmm.
why we buy particular things. Yeah. It's never a clear cut case. And there's that whole story about the Tiffany paperclip that's worth $1,500. They were selling these gold paperclips for $1,500. People were buying them because it was
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
That's a freaking paperclip
Yep.
that you could use as
Yep.
bookmark.
Yep.
Like it's just that's living on your brand reputation. Tiffany has this amazing brand reputation. It appeals to the luxury audience, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're the people that they're marketing to, and people buy it because it's Tiffany.
Yep. So those diehard fans will buy anything that's got that brand name on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's about status. They're not actually buying a paperclip. They're buying into the status that it affords them. They're buying into the feeling that I can afford to spend $1,500 on a paperclip. Like,
Yep.
there's kind of the gratification that comes with that. So it's never just a clear cut case of who got the cheapest thing.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So, Julie, is this something that you help your clients with? Like, do you use uh, their branding to help to articulate the value?
Absolutely. So my background's I'm getting close to about 30 years now of design experience since I left uni. So yeah, so all of your visuals are a communication tool, and I see visual elements as a language, much like any other language, like English or French or German or whatever. It's a language, and so you've got to think, oh, even music. You can communicate ideas with it, and it will harmonize or not according to what elements you choose. And there's a whole bunch of psychology, like, good scientific psychology behind how humans interpret stuff. And yes, our experience comes into it. Like red might mean something a little bit different to you because even though we grew up in the same culture, we have different experiences of the color red. I actually resisted red for a long time, even though everybody says it's my best color to wear, because when I was like 8 or something, there was a boy I had a crush on, and I wore these brand new red pants that I thought were the fanciest thing.
Oh.
And he goes, ew, red pants. And it crushed me. And I thought, I am never going to wear red for as long as I live. I mean, I have. But, this is the thing. Our experiences really feed into how things mean. But beyond that, there's fundamental things about how our brains work and how we interpret things because we're human. And so we associate soft colors with softness. So like pastels, that's they can be luminous and vibrant, but they're always soft. We always associate them with soft things. We associate them with, the femininity. We associate them with babies because that's the human thing to do. Toddlers are like rambunctious. They're all over the place. They're high energy. So we associate that with bright, clear colors. That's just basic human psychology. And the shapes are the same thing. Fluid shapes, rounded shapes, we always associate with the feminine, and soft sounds and harsh angular shapes we tend to associate with masculine, and harder sounds, angles, and uprights will be interpreted as solid, and horizontals as resting, and diagonals as dynamic. So it's basic human psychology. So there's all of that in my head when I'm going to choose people's elements for them. And yes, it all feeds in. So yeah, when I approach somebody when I approach them, they approach me to help them with the branding. I really dig down into who they are, what they want to express first, and then I actually interpret that. I translate what they say into the elements that suit exactly what it is they're trying to communicate. So there's a whole process. It's logical and it's methodical.
Yeah, it's very important work, because there's one point I wanted to touch on with you is like many businesses that I've had experiences with want to choose the colors and fonts that they personally like, but that might not be the right thing for them. I know this because one time very early on in my business journey, 5 or 6 years ago, I took some different variations of a logo to an in-person business networking event, and I showed this to the people on the table, and I said, what do you think of these logos? Do you think they're right for me? And the most common feedback that I got was like, oh, is this a kid's brand? You don't want to make mistakes like that with your logo or your branding elements. So why shouldn't you pick things that you personally like?
That's a really good question. You kind of do, but the thing is, if I say blue to you, there is a whole rainbow of blues.
Yeah.
There is everything from really deep, dark navy blue right through to the palest, aquary blue. Like there's a rainbow of blues in between that. And the other thing with color, particularly, is that two colors will resonate against each other, just like two notes in music. So you can make a harmony and it will resonate somehow. It'll either feel a little bit uneasy, when you have like a minor chord or something, there's that clash of sounds, or else they'll just feel beautiful. And it's amazing how much the shift of a couple of shades, a couple of hues will make to the difference of a harmony of colors. So yes, if someone says, "Oh, I really love blue," I always just work with that because I can come up with a blue that works.
Yeah.
In terms, I guess when it comes down to DIY stuff, I mean, I look, I totally get in your startup, you've got to start somewhere, and please go for it. And there are lots of tools out there to help you. But if you're trying to design a logo for yourself, I wouldn't say the logo is the place to start, by the way. But yeah, I really think just forget about a logo when you're in startup. You start off
Yeah.
with a word mark. Word mark is just your name in a particular font. Stick with that until you can afford a proper logo, because any
Yeah.
other thing, you can tell. You can really tell. And all it does is really doing yourself a disservice by projecting something about you that you don't want. Like, you just said, people thought it was like a kid's thing. You don't want that. You don't want that kind of image of your brand, do you?
Yeah, no, and there's other
No.
practical reasons why you shouldn't choose your own colors. Actually, a couple of months ago, I had a business come to me and they wanted some graphics for their ads, and they sent me this logo, which was white text on a pastel peach orange background. And immediately, like, I thought, if I use this color scheme, people are not going to be able to see it, especially when this banner is going to be responsive and different sizes on the web. How is that going to make
No,
you
yeah.
look?
Yeah. This is where having a skilled designer is worth its weight in gold, because a skilled designer will be automatically always in the back of their head going, that's not contrasty enough. It's not readable enough. All the practical considerations, because all your branding is communication tool. Like I said before, it's a language. It's communicating something about who you are and what you're about. And if you're not communicating clearly, then there's no point in having it. So make sure make sure that your branding is right in the first place, and then make sure that it's actually used in the right way as well. So make sure your message is super clear. Every time you're speaking to somebody, you want to make your words heard. Otherwise, there's no point in speaking. It's the same with all your graphics. Make sure your message is coming through really nice and loud and clear.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And it ties in, that point ties in pretty well to the work that I do, because I work with ads. If there's something not quite right with the colors or the presentation of your ad, of course people are going to scroll on by.
Well, that's right. Yeah, the whole point is for them to stop the scroll and click on the thing. So whatever you can do, whatever is in your power to make them do that,
Yeah,
do it. Yep. 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 Yep.
I'm so glad you agree.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, this has been so good, and I really like to keep these episodes short and sweet. So to wrap up, could you tell us about a way that people can work with you?
Well, sure. I'm on the socials as Brandiwork, so you can find me on Facebook. There, I'm not on Instagram terribly much, but I am there. So yeah, just come and find me. I'm Julie Gibbons at Brandiwork, or just go to brandiwork.com. That's my website, and all the information is there. And I've got a couple of good freebies there if you want to learn more about branding. I've got a couple of excellent freebies. One's the ultimate guide to creating a standout brand. So grab that for yourself. It's got all the things you need.
Oh, beautiful. So is that helpful to startup or DIY or anyone?
It's anyone really. Like, I think it would, because it is actually fairly comprehensive. It's really it goes into how to assess what you have now and how to improve it. So yes, there's information on if you're in startup and you don't know where to start. Like, of course, you can just skip through the assessment bit and just go straight into do this, do this, do this. There is step-by-step things to do in there, and create your brand that really suits you. If you are a bit beyond that, yeah, it's definitely still worth going and having a look, because it'll show you exactly how to assess what you have and then how to improve it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and especially helps, if you so you don't get too scared about investing too much time and money. into things you might not need right
I
now.
think, yeah, yeah. And even if you are planning on going to a designer, having this information, going through it anyway, and assessing what you have, what deciding what you'd like and you don't like, and then you go to the designer, that is so much better because you'll get a much clearer. Because the thing is, it's like so many things in your business. A lot of stuff is never finished. I mean, I still work on my brand. I still work on refining. I was still putting new things out all the time. And, your work's never done. It's like building a website. You're always tweaking things. It's never done.
Yeah.
So, um, if
Yep.
you can hone in on that niche and really get clearer and stronger about your true voice, then, it's always going to be better. There's
Yep.
always room for improvement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A website doesn't have to be a permanent etched in stone thing, and neither does your brand. I mean, the TV,
No.
the major TV networks in Australia, they always tweak their logo just a little bit every year, and it's so subtle that you don't notice it. But if you put like
Mm.
1990 next to 2020, you'd see they've transformed it.
Oh, that happens in branding with the major, like all of the internationals, they do that all the time. Yeah, yeah. You can see the progression in the Coke logo or the Pepsi logo or
Yep.
whatever it is. Yeah, it always happens. Yeah. So again, it's because as we grow, as our business changes, as our target market slightly changes, everybody shifts. Like it's because change is the only constant in our lives.
Yeah.
And so everything's changing all the time, and we have different ideas on what looks good, on different ideas
Yep.
on who we are. Yeah, all of it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly like you said, when, at first somebody said red pants were disgusting and now you love red.
I know. I got over it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Hmm.
And I really enjoy
Hmm.
seeing you show up across the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll meet in person one day soon, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to close this up now, but it's been a pleasure talking to you and hearing about your expertise.
Thanks, Lou. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.